All right, hello everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, back following up on what I promised is part two of a video that I shared with you guys, I believe on yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. It's an interview that Kwame Brown did with the family of Jessica Reid. If you're not familiar with who Jessica Reid is, just hang on. You'll find out. What I did is, while I gave a brief commentary on where I stand on it and why it was important to share it, I pretty much let the video speak for itself. So this is me addressing a much deeper issue far beyond the beef between Kwame Brown and Charlamagne the God, an internal issue within the Black collective that we love to sweep under the rug. Our fascination with celebrities, our natural inclination to live vicariously through celebrities, which tends to lead us to give them passes that we would not otherwise give. And normally it comes at the detriment of those within our community. I think the number one responsibility of quote unquote, first and foremost, whoa, what happened there? Forgive me, just keep watching. I don't know what's that's the camera or what, but sorry about that. But anyway, there's going to be all these new glitches in the technology until we get it figured out. But that's the first time it did this much. But anyway, I'm not going to be too caught up in it. You guys can hear me. We're going to make it work. It is sort of annoying. This isn't what I wanted to do, but this is what has been suggested and advised, that it's a better whatever presentation or whatever. Look, I'm going to get into what I feel about this. Hopefully this won't be too much of a distraction because we're already in it. But like I said, this is so much bigger than what's going on with Kwame. And like I said, I'm happy that Kwame has basically taken his voice and not only fired back at his own detractors, but is using his voice now to be a trumpet and a voice for those who don't have platforms. And I'm really, really excited about it because I think we need more of this happening. I think there's a space, and I talk about this in the video that I put up earlier this morning, that Black media can't just be about Black scholarship. It can't just be about Black historians. It just can't be about Black hardcore, radical, indoctrination. I think there's a space for everybody. I think there's a space for those Blacks who are pro-Black and aware enough to provide laughter. I think we need pro-Black comedy. I think we need pro-Black entertainment, pro-Black writing, pro-Black films. I think we need to be able to write our narrative. And so media isn't just what is reported. Media isn't just a means through which we teach. Media is the means through which we communicate and we write the narrative. The problem is that we have not been writing the narrative. We have been the target of the writers of the narrative, and we have had Black faces, the Black, of course, the Black bourgeoisie, who are Black faces in high places, who want to reinforce the narrative, who want to frame the narrative, who want to keep us moving in a certain direction because it benefits them. And these are the go along to get alongs. They are doing and saying what they have been required to do and say in order to keep us in a certain place and keep us moving in a certain direction and to keep us ignorant to the truth. When someone like Kwame Brown comes up, he's fresh, first and foremost. So he's not the everyday voice you're used to hearing. He's not the normal voice that you're used to hearing, but he's talking some real truths. He's speaking beyond his anger at certain people. There's so much more to him than just what went on with all the smoke and Charlamagne the God and Stephen A. Smith. This is about a kid who understands what's going on in the Black community, and he's speaking some truth. And I love his little nuance of mama's cooking and what that really means and how he's using that. But now he's giving this platform to other people who really need to have a voice. One of the people is Jessica Reid. Jessica Reid is one of the people who have brought a complaint against Charlamagne the God for being drugged. And from what I understand, if you want to watch and get just the gist of what happened, you can watch that video. But do some research. She was drugged to the point of where for a certain period of time, she couldn't move, she couldn't walk. And then when she was able to walk, she was trying to get out of the situation. And from what I understand, she tore up the room trying to get out of the situation, but she was sexually assaulted. Now, this is something, brother, and I am inclined not to call him my brother. This is something this dude has not only done, but bragged about. Not only bragged about, but you can see it in his behavior. This is the same dude that got up and sniffed the seat that J-Lo sat in after she got up. Something's not right with the brother, and nobody is holding him accountable because his handlers are protecting him. Everything that comes to surface is being quickly swept under the rug because he's still valuable to certain people of power. We have to make him unvaluable. We have to make him a non-point. We have to remove his relevance to the power handlers. Why? Because we cannot allow people who wear our skin tone and our melatonin to be the very ones wrecking our neighborhoods, disrespecting our women, destroying our young black males. All of the things that I see happening far too often, and we giving out passes. Because now the truth is, here's something, and I've written about this. Because we as a people have experienced very little in the way of success as it has been defined in our culture and in our society, because we have experienced very little in the way of power as it's defined and as we perceive it in our culture and in our society, we tend to live vicariously through those who look like us, who we consider to be people who have Barack Obama, R. Kelly, and on, and cats like this dude, Charlamagne the God, who has a daily voice, has a daily image, is perceived to be successful because of his bank account, perceived to be successful because of his exposure, perceived to be successful because of his position. And we don't look at what they bring to the table, the Roland Martins and the Stephen A. Smiths. We look at the fact that white America has accepted them, put them in a spot, gave them a position, and gave them a voice. And we don't realize that very rarely, if at all, does white America sit up and give voices to people who are actually pro-black. We don't look at that. We just see the success, and so we want to get behind it. We see the success, so we want to act on it. Before I forget, don't forget to show your love and support the work we do at the Odyssey Project. From the research that I've been doing for over 30 years to the programs we developed out of that research, like Black Men Lead, Restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters, the Blueprint to Black Empowerment, the Black Code of Conduct, and so much more. If you want to check out what we're doing, go to our site at theodysseyproject.top, the Odyssey Project 21.top, and look up the Blueprint to Empowerment. Look up the Black Code of Conduct. Look up Black Men Lead. Look up the things we're doing. But show your love, show your support. Now, moving on. Here's the thing. Again, I commend Kwame Brown for being a voice, putting himself out there. Because what you have to understand is when you start being a voice, when you start speaking truth to power, when you start actually calling a spade, you put a target on your back. Trust me, you put a target on your back. The target on your back is for not only those who operate in power in the realm of white supremacy and the shot callers to take aim, but they also point out to those in lower positions, but with black faces to take aim. And then you have some people with your own collective that feels like there are only so many spots. And so they feel like you're competition, they take aim. So when you step out and you decide that you're going to speak truth to power, that you're going to be an element or a component of empowerment within your community, within your race, you put a target on your back. Because, see, we were never meant to be empowered. We were never meant to be truly educated. We were never meant to be a force to be reckoned with. Not in this country, not in this element, not in this system. And yet, here we are at the cusp of overcoming something. Do we have a lot of things I think I put forth in both Born in Captivity and Undoing the African American Mind, book number 19, book number 22. I put it out in big. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do in ourselves and of ourselves. We've got to rediscover ourselves, because identity is the force through which you take action. You act based on how you see yourself in this world. We call it self-image, self-concept, but you act based on how you see yourself. You can't see yourself as intellectually inferior. You can't see yourself as financially inferior. No matter where you're sitting at, you have to see your capacity to perform, not just where you're at, but where you're capable of going. We don't see that. Why? Because we've been told that they have the power. We've been told that they have the control. We've been told that we absolutely necessarily need them. That's where the dim black faces like Roland Martin are coming from, because they want to push that narrative. You got to have the Democrats behind you in order to get something done. No, you don't. We actually need to get rid of them. We need to force them to completely reconstruct the way things are done politically, because nobody served our interests. We haven't gained the ground under any administration, Republican or Democrat. Do your history, do your research. We've declined under both. We've suffered massive blows under both. The crime bill of the early 1990s presented by Biden was done under the Clinton administration, black administration. A lot of the social programs that ushered in the black ghettos and the broken family came under the Johnson administration, which again was a Democratic administration. I'm not excusing Republicans. We had plenty of trickle-down economics from the Reagan administration and the Bush administration. We had a bunch of corruption that came in. Drugs came in during the 80s under the Republican administration, while financing a war that they weren't supposed to be involved in. All of these things are truth and historically verifiable. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying because we're against the Democrats, we're for the Republicans. We're saying none of it works for us. Don't feed us that. Let us figure out what we're going to do. And if you're really truly behind us, empower us. Show us how the things work so that we'll know how to work with it, work against it, reconstruct it, force the hand. But we have to develop an economic floor in order to do that. But when it comes down to this particular thing, we cannot allow someone solely based on their celebrity status to wreak havoc in our community. He can't be considered untouchable. I listened to the brother of this young girl say that for a while he was looking for dude, but he couldn't get at him. He couldn't get to him. And that made him frustrated. He still owes a substantial amount of hate for this brother. And you can imagine, you know, my mindset, if that's my sister, I'm not stopping until I touch you. But see, I have to redefine who I am and say, okay, not just my biological sister. Every sister that operates with under the whole umbrella of blackness should be protected. And not just because she's an A student, or not just because she has this exemplary life. I'm talking about we got to protect them all, and we'll figure out how we're going to deal with the ones who aren't acting the way that's pro-social for the black collective. We got to figure out how we're going to deal with that, because those are issues too. We got brothers that aren't behaving like brothers need to behave. We got sisters that aren't behaving like sisters are behaving, but that's got to be internal. We can't sit up and they're not throwing theirs to the wolves. They're giving theirs who are raping women behind dumpsters 90 days with 60 days suspended. And I'm not saying that we want to support that kind of thing, but what we're saying is, okay, we need to deal with them. But what we got to find are the wolves that are out there and separate them and castrate them. And what I mean by that is, I want to be very clear, because there's somebody be saying I'm advocating violence. Now, I'll tell you the truth. My family, I'm touching. I'm going to deal with the consequences later. But I think there's a better way. Take its power, take its influence, force his handlers to drop him, apply pressure, emails, share every bad story about him, share every bad video about him. Stop amping him up. See, what they've done is they've overshadowed the stories about what this brother has done. They've overshadowed it with he did this and he helped me stories. He put me down stories. He connected. There's no amount of putting down, no amount of connecting that says you've got a right to violate one of our sisters. Absolutely not. And so we can get this understood. There's no amount of putting down that you can sit up and mishandle one of our little brothers. We've got to protect our youth. We got to protect our young adults. We got to provide an environment for them where that is conducive for them to truly grow into themselves and be able to protect themselves, defend themselves, take operation. Let me explain something why I'm so frustrated. Like I said, this isn't something that's just new to me. I'm not just jumping on this because it's a hot topic. Follow me and go back and you'll find out I've been talking about childhood sexual abuse for years. Why? Because it's a big part of what I do in my profession. I deal with a bunch of people who were molested and handled as minors, and they still haven't overcame the trauma. And most people don't realize that that's a part of adverse childhood experiences that have negative impacts and ramifications throughout life. It just doesn't end when it's over with. It has impacts that deal with more than just psychological and emotional. It's so much more than just being depressed behind something that happened to you. It's that it raises your risk for physical ailments. Someone who has 4 ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences. Every adverse childhood experience you have is a point. You got 4 points. You're 12 times more likely to attempt suicide. You are 4 times more likely to become diabetic. You are 4 times more likely to develop ischemic heart disease, one of the massive killers in this world, not just in this country. All of these things are tied to what happened to you as a child, an adverse child, parents breaking up, having an addictive parent going to jail, sibling going to jail, sibling injured, experiencing direct physical abuse. All of these things are a direct influence, negative influence, traumatic influence, complex traumatic influence on minors that carry out ramifications long beyond their adulthood that they can somehow mitigate through proper counseling, through proper intervention, but we'll still have to deal with. Those imprints don't go away. The best you can hope for is a holistic healing in which you heal from it. And you become such a force positively that it overcomes the negative. But as a result, what we're seeing is that this is playing out way into 50s and 60s. I have clients in their 60s still battling incest from when they were 9 years old, 7 years old, 14 years old. I have clients right now that are dealing with that. So when someone like this comes in, you don't understand. That person that's in their 60s didn't just deal with it. They went out and had kids that they now traumatized, that they now put in an environment that was toxic because they hadn't learned how to live and get past it. They brought a child into this or multiple children in this. They also got into relationships with other people where those people had to deal with the toxicity and the dysfunction that started when they were childhood. They were in childhood. Now you got entire communities being impacted by something that happened to one person. You don't understand the dynamic of this. They used to use this type of logic and reasoning when they were talking about the AIDS epidemic back in the day before they were talking about you sleep with this person and that person sleeps with that person. It's like that person. And then you look up before you know it's a whole screen of people. That's the same thing happens with trauma. That's the same thing that happens with trauma. And then we're giving passes. And we're not just giving passes. Let me be sure to be clear about this. We're not just giving passes to celebrities like this clown. But we need to deal with this clown because this clown has a platform where he's normalizing it. We're giving passes to a bunch of people in the house that's getting more protection than the victim. We got to deal with that too. And it's happening not just to our little girls. Our little boys are being molested at an unbelievable rate. We don't want to admit it. And see, we create this persona around Black manhood and masculinity that doesn't allow them to come out and say it. They're not going to talk about it because they know the deep darkness of what they struggle with since it happened. They struggle with their sexuality, their masculinity, their manhood, their purpose in life, who they are, why they couldn't stop it, and so many other things. Same thing with the young girls. They're struggling with it too. But my issue is this clown has a place where he's normalized it, where he's made this type of behavior cool. We are responsible for the community. We've got to stop looking outside of ourselves, looking for answers that the very divine God that's a part of us has already provided. We've got to stop looking out. The reason we can't get answers is because we keep looking outside of ourselves. We keep looking to the ones who created the problems to solve them. That's a part of the problem. No, we have to look inside of ourselves. We got to see the preciousness of our intellect, the preciousness of our divinity, the preciousness of our ability to survive, our resilience, and understand that there are some answers that number one, we got to learn how to protect ourselves from ourselves. And no, I'm not one of those that buys into the black on black myth. No, yes, are blacks committing violence against one another at a very high rate? Yes, so is every other race. Almost every act of violence is racially inclusive. What do I mean by that? 84% of homicides of white people were committed by other white people. It is an enclave impacted event. You normally cause harm out of rage, and rage normally happens within the enclave you reside. You normally get mad at people you know. So that until we start having conversations about white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, Latino on Latino crime, we're not going to have the black on black crime. Now we're going to deal with the violence within our community, the fratricide, the patricide and all the matricide and all that. We're going to deal with that because it is an issue, but it's not an exclusive phenomenon to where we can be animalized. So they use that black on black crime to marginalize us, animalize us, criminalize us, make us seem like there's something innately wrong with us. And that, no, we're not going to talk about the social influences that promote it. We're not going to talk about poverty and lack of resources, lack of access and equity. We're not going to talk about that. You could put anybody in this category, and it's enough research and empirical and pragmatic data out there to support and show that you put anybody in that condition over time and you're going to get the same results. We're not talking about that. Why? Because we want to normalize the idea that black people are animalistic. And so when we kill them in the street, they deserve it. If they don't comply, we have a right to kill them, while we will go out of our way while being shot at to preserve the life of a white person. Just happened last week. And we don't understand why it's happening. It's because we haven't took a strong enough stance in writing the narrative. We haven't corrected some of the internal issues like this clown. We need to boycott anything he has to do with. Anything he has to do, we need to boycott it. Stop watching it, stop supporting it, kill the advertising force that he has, and he becomes invaluable. He becomes non-valuable, and he will be dropped. Apply the force. Is there a chance of criminal charges at this point? I think it's too late, but who knows? This clown may be still out there. There might be some people who want to come forth that where the what's the term, legal term? Somebody help me out. I know what it is. It's not coming right now, but where the term hasn't expired to file charges, criminal charges. But anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. We are going to have to do a better job of handling misconduct within the black community. I write about this in the code of black conduct, the Black Code of Conduct. I write about this. I write about this in the blueprint for Black empowerment. You cannot sit up and take this, well, it's not my problem approach. You cannot take this live and let live approach, because a lot of the way people are living has a detrimental impact on us as a collective. We have to sit up. The statute of limitations, that's it. Okay. There may be somebody out there right now who has dealt with this clown, and what he's done to you happened at a time that it's still within the statute of limitations, meaning that criminal charges can be brought. Come forth. Come forth. Because it's obviously a problem, and he's obviously a predator. This isn't a one-off thing. The person he married, he did it to. Now, what kind of state of mind you're in that you marry the person that violated you, that's not for me to talk about right now, but that's, wow. I guess that somehow makes it okay. To me, it just sounds like more manipulation. But at the end of the day, somebody has to come in, stand up, and speak truth to power, hold them accountable. I'm not talking about nobody being perfect. I'm talking about you got to recognize a predator. And predators that are feeding on your community, on your village, have to be put down. You know, it's amazing how these predators who are supposed to be so out of their ability to control their action, it's just in me. It's just what I do. I can't help myself. It's amazing how you ain't over there in their village doing that crap. It's amazing that you're not in their village doing that, because they straighten that out real quick. Their sickness can reside within their commune, but you can't bring your sickness over there, and you're not going to have it here. That's the guarantee. We're not going to have it here. Thank you, It's Hawks, baby girl, because we definitely need to look at what can be done. We need to give it a voice. We need to apply pressure. We need to help this family get some closure. I'm not one that really believes in closure, because I think even that after you get the results you want, it's still there. But I think that they deserve justice. I think that's the person who harmed this lady's baby deserves justice. I mean, deserves to get what's coming to him. I mean, whatever that is, I know what it would be if it would be my child. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. If it's my child, whatever's between me and you is in jeopardy, because I'm coming to you. Whatever you put in between me, if they fool enough to be there, I'm coming through them. So you either stop me or I'm going to get you. Bottom line. It's that simple. And I send that message in the way I carry myself around my family. So I don't have that problem with the ladies, not just my girls, but the ladies in my families, sisters and everybody. I am going to touch you if you miss out. I don't mean arguments. I don't mean breaking up. I don't mean y'all don't get along. I don't even mean cheating. I mean, you harm her psyche. You personally violate her. You put your hands on her in any way wrongly. I'm going to put mine on you. That's one of the problems we have in the Black community right now. There's no consequence to erroneous action. I can do anything, get away with it. Nobody's holding anybody accountable. I'm sorry. I have no tolerance for the violation of our children, our women, and our elderly. And I have very, very, very little tolerance for the violation of our young men. If you're doing our young men wrong, I feel the same way. Young boys are a part of our young children, so I've already spoken on them. But it's not just about girls, but that's something you ought to have I mean, as a man, that ought to be something inside of you that just says, you're not going to do that to my baby girl. You're not going to do that to our ladies. You're not going to do that to our women. And I know that there are a lot of issues. This isn't about painting no one person or group within the collective as perfect. We don't exist in a perfect state, even when we're at our best. But what I'm trying to sit up and say is, I'm not trying to figure out who I should help and who. If you're a female and you're in the Black collective and you haven't shown that you're an enemy of the Black collective, I see value in you, even if you don't see it in yourself. So I treat you the way I see you, not necessarily how you behave. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to let you be around me with that erroneous behavior, but I'm not going to mishandle you. I'm not going to talk down to you. If anything, I'm going to talk up to you. I'm going to challenge you to respond to someone who talks to you like you should be, rather than where you're at. I believe in that. Again, don't mean I want you in my circle acting the way you acting. But I'm not going to turn you loose and say you deserve whatever you get. No. That's not how I do it. That's not how I'm teaching the young men in Black Men League to do it. Look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I got a lot of other work to do, but I had to touch this. I am going to be pushing this because I can't sit around. This isn't the first time that this has come up. Charlamagne, the guy, made the mistake of trying to get in on the heat and the fire and the virility of what was going on between Kwame Brown and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, with their all the smoke podcast. And Stephen A, he tried to get in and get some of that, and open his mouth too wide and said the wrong things, and he drew the ire of Kwame Brown, and it has put it in this light, and that's why a lot of this stuff is resurfacing. My thing is, it should have never went beneath the surface in the first place. We've got to stop using our emotions to dictate how we address things too. See, when you use your emotions don't have longevity. They don't have endurance. Emotions are an indicative mechanism. What do I mean by that? Your emotions are to tell you the reality of the moment. If you're angry, it normally means somebody's wronged you. If you're sad, it normally means you've experienced some side of loss. And if you're happy, it means you've experienced something that you desire, and all these things. But they're only indicative to tell you what your reality is. If you're angry, now you need to know what you're going to do about it, and what you're going to do about it can't be dependent upon the emotion. It must be dependent upon what you've been trained through protocol and responsibility to do. And that's what we don't do. While we're angry, we go hard in the paint, and then when the anger subsides, you'll know, because we stop talking about it. We stop pushing it. I done seen so many babies that have ended up dead at the hands of just trifling people, and we get upset about it, and we talk about it. We're gonna fight. By the time the case even goes to trial, we're not even talking about it anymore. Who's talking about Sandra Bland right now? Who's talking about Michaela, a young girl here in Houston who was killed probably by her mom and disposed of by her stepdad? But stepdad just took the case. took the heat from it. Took I think a 40-year sentence. But I know for sure that mama had something to do with it. But hey, it is what and that one broke my heart. But how I've posted about it periodically going over, and we've got to get to a point where we don't let stuff die because we're no longer mad about it. Is it still wrong? Have we gotten the end result that we should have gotten? Then we've got to keep pressing. Tadashi, absolutely. If you sit up and bring harm to anyone in the community, especially our babies, and when I say babies, I mean all the way up to the age of 21, touch our babies, touch our women, we touch you. Until we get to that point, we're never going to be able to do anything with white supremacy because we can't protect our women against our own damn selves. We're going to have to come to that reality. That's just the truth of it. Look, I'm about to get out of here. Once again, I've posted the ways that you can show your love and show your support for the work that we've done for years at the Odyssey Project, most of which I've pushed and funded myself. But hey, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to put these clowns front and center. It's that simple. Look, on that note, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. You guys have been unbelievable. To every brother out there that's trying to do it right, and it's hard, I know. I'm a long way from perfect. I make mistakes regularly, but the goal is not to make the same mistake consistently. It's to grow. It's to become stronger. It's to become more focused. It's to be what you're capable of being, a little bit better each day. That's my challenge to the men, to the ladies. Learn to live within the beauty of your unbelievable spiritual force. Stop selling yourself short. Stop accepting what other people define you as. Start seeing in yourself who you are. Live you to the fullest. And if you're living you to the fullest, be okay with that no matter what anyone says. And you'll find you won't be going to these clowns that are tearing you down looking for advice on how to be you. That one's still blowing my mind. And I just got tired of talking about it. How are you going to someone that can't make up in their mind whether they're going to be you or be what you're looking for advice about how to be you? Who can give you advice about how to be? People can give you advice how to grow and get better, but you are the one that's going to have to master being you. And when you master being you, you don't have to ask somebody what you need to do. Your value will project itself upon the world with a force that can't be denied. Many won't be able to handle it. Many won't be able to accept it. And you don't want everybody accepting you. because that means you're average and mediocre. You want people to look at you and kind of see the difference. It ain't about being the same as everybody. It's about being you. On that note, I'm getting out of here. You guys, I tell you what, it's been great. Show some love, show some support, but whatever you do, let's get behind putting some pressure on Charlamagne the God to deal with this. Put some pressure on his handlers. Put some pressure on the people who are backing him. Put some pressure on advertisers. It's time to really take our collective force and put it to work. On that note, I'm about to get out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day.